All right, what up, guys? Happy Monday. We are moving on. Kind of pretty much everything we're going to do through the rest of the year deals with equations in some form, at least for this until Christmas. But we are moving on to kind of our next type topic slash thing for equations, and that is slope. So we're going to look at a couple of a couple of definitions. We'll get to examples later this week. We're going to look at a couple of definitions. First off, what slope itself actually is. So the slope itself is the steepness of a line. Okay, the steepness of a line. You can put these notes in your unit 4 on your e-binder and make sure you have those so that you can refer back to them. But anyway, slope is the steepness of a line. A slope, another word for slope is rate of change. You'll hear it referred to that pretty often. It's the rate of change in your y compared to your x. So vertical change compared to your horizontal change. Your rise over run, that's something we're going to use a lot. Hey, don't worry about putting the fraction. You just put a little slash in between. Or the change in your y values over the change in your x values. Or y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's an equation we'll use a lot. These are the same thing. Okay, the change in your y values, the way you find how much it changes is you subtract to figure out how much it changes. Or you could count, but counting the change between 2 points is the same thing as taking the higher one and subtracting the lower one, as opposed to just counting your way up. So these two are the same thing, just written different ways. Okay, and your for the equation y equals mx plus b, slope is always going to be the m. So slope can take lots of different forms. Slope is the steepness of a line. Slope is your rate of change. Slope is your m. So it's very important that you understand that slope has all kinds of forms. They're all the exact same, and they are all slope. Okay, the next thing we're getting to is the y-intercept. The y-intercept. The y-intercept deals with a graph, and it's your y-coordinate of a point at which the relationship crosses the y-axis, meaning the x-coordinate is equal to 0, denoted as the b, and y equals mx plus b, and the ordered pair 0b. Okay, it's very important that you know this, but basically when you have a graph, your y-intercept is where your line crosses your y-axis. Okay, your y-axis is the vertical axis, is the one that goes up and down. Okay, looks like this, straight up and down. Okay, that is your y-axis, and your y-intercept is where your line crosses your y-axis. So where it crosses the y-axis. Okay, when it crosses the y-axis, if you think about a graph, okay, your x-coordinate is 0. So wherever your x is 0, whatever number goes with your y at that point, that is going to be your y-intercept. Okay, and then in this same equation from up here, your b is your y-intercept. So far within this equation, we've got y equals slope times x plus your y-intercept. And that's all we're going to have. They will always either give you the y or the x and ask you to find the other one. Okay, your y and x, your y is just your y coordinate, your x is just your x coordinate. So if they give you the x, you plug it in for x. You solve this equation, you get y. If they give you the y, then you would plug in for y and do your steps that we've been going over for the past few weeks to find your x. Okay, so it's actually very simple, but I know I'm going through a whole lot right now. We will break it all down and talk more about it over the next like 3 to 4 weeks, I think. Next is the word linear. Linear is when something makes a straight line on a graph. Typically, linear equations are written in this form right here, your y equals mx plus b form, your slope-intercept form. That's what that's called. This is your slope-intercept equation. Okay? Feel free to pause these to write these down at any point. That is fine. Next is proportional. So to be proportional, something has to have, two things have to happen for a line to be proportional. It has to make a straight line. It can't be curvy. It has to be straight. And it has to go through the origin. If either one of those does not happen, it is not a proportional relationship or a proportional line. So the next is non-proportional, is when either of those two things listed above does not happen. So either it's not straight or it does not go through the origin. The origin, if you don't know, is the point 0, 0. It is where your x and your y-axis meet. It's the t in the middle of your graph. That is how you know where your origin is. Next is rate of change. We talked about that a little bit earlier. Rate of change is exactly what it sounds like. It describes the rate that something changes in relation to something else. Okay, rate of change is all kinds of things. Your rate of change and your slope, again, are the exact same thing. Okay, anytime you see the word rate of change, you can mark it out and write slope. Anytime you see slope, you can mark it out and write rate of change. Okay, they are the exact same. And lastly, you got two more here. Your x-axis is the horizontal axis. Horizontal, like the horizon. Okay, horizontal goes this way. It's the first coordinate in your ordered pair. So when you have your ordered pairs, something that looks like this, the first coordinate is your x coordinate. And it moves horizontally. And then you've got your y coordinate, your y-axis, sorry. Your y-axis is the vertical part. It's the part that goes up and down, and it goes with the second coordinate in a coordinate pair. So it would be the second one up here. Okay, that is the vocabulary that we will be using for the foreseeable future. If you have any questions about any of those, what they mean or anything, feel free to reach out to me. We will be working plenty of examples. You will have a thorough knowledge of what all this is by the end of the unit. Just keep working on solving your equations. That will come up throughout this unit also. So make sure you keep working on that. Keep that committed to your memory. Make sure you keep remembering your steps. And I hope you guys have a great Monday.